Hello, everyone. It's Michael Zapersky, and today I'm here with Kaite McConnel Olson. Kaite, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yes, so you are the founder and CEO of Higher Education Consulting Group, a full-service talent optimization consulting firm. So for everyone out there, just explain, what does talent optimization mean?
Exactly. Good question. Basically, it means we do all things in the search and hiring strategy space. So we do full cycle search, much like a traditional recruiter, and then a bunch of other stuff too. All of the strategy behind what that really means. Like we need to add a new role, or we don't know how much to pay, or how do we offboard somebody? What is offboarding? You know, if they're not a match anymore, or what does our org chart look like, and where do we know when we need to add roles? All the way through process improvement around the hiring cycle and essentially anything in the talent space.
Got it. Okay. And, when I was preparing for our call here today and kind of just going through your past, like you've had quite a journey from being a tax auditor or kind of in that tax auditing world, right? A VP of assurance, and I guess like doing financial audits, and then into recruiting. So kind of like walk us through what that looked like for you to, like how you started off and got to where you are today.
Yes, definitely a checkerboard path, not a ladder climb. My degree is in finance, and I started as an auditor in public accounting. So basically, I was a bean counter that went out to companies and looked at their financials, mostly in the public company space, to make sure the numbers are right for the shareholders. And then took a couple twists and turns in my career through a few startup ventures. Ended up landing in a startup CPA firm and was doing some of the same work, but really got a taste of what it means to build a business and go find clients and what it means to be a business owner. Then from there, I ended up landing in recruitment by way of a startup that didn't stay started, as that sometimes happens, and then became a recruiter. And so that was kind of the first foray into recruiting. And I was recruiting accounting roles and working with a lot of accountants. And then realized I'm kind of underutilized, but I have a lot of ideas. And I got recruited back into public accounting to run the recruiting department for a national CPA firm. So got to go through a lot of merger and acquisition at that point in time, loved the role, but at one point in time said, I have a business idea here on how we can help clients. And so I migrated back into the client side and started a practice within that CPA firm helping companies hire accountants. One thing led to another. That company went through an acquisition. At that point in time, I found all kinds of other ideas and decided to exit that firm and start my own company, which is Hire, H-I-R-E, Education Consulting. Built a team, and now here we are with the full cycle strategy and then search well beyond just accountants at this stage.
And then what made you, like, what was kind of the impetus or the tipping point or the push that made you decide, you know what, after all like these, the different things that you've been through, which is quite a bit in terms of what you just shared, what made you, like, what pushed you to actually get into consulting and start your own business? Like, why not just go out and work at another firm or do another kind of startup? Like, why actually specifically get into consulting?
Good question. I think there's a business need that I saw in a market that wasn't getting access to the services that we offer. A lot of the clients that I worked with at that time and still do are in the construction and trade space, so the AEC industry, architecture, engineering, and construction. Really great with the back of the house work, but really struggled with the front of the house infrastructure around adding people. And in the market that is just exploding and doing really well as it was at its peak when I started this company, saw a market that wasn't getting served and there was a need for it. And I think that's really where it came to be was, well, what if we created a business that could serve them and really solve a problem, which I think is how most companies start is, hey, there's a problem. How can we fill a need? And then it really evolved into letting the market lead us into, hey, we're doing exit interviews and we're seeing that this is a reoccurring problem. Let's start a service line around a feedback program that can solve this problem.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I love about that is you're right. Like, so you identified a need, right? But I think a lot of people have ideas of like the market needs what we have, or right, we have something great to offer, but actually translating that into a successful business, or even before it's successful, taking that kind of idea and actually going out to the marketplace and validating that idea or getting your first client. That's a challenge for a lot of people. So to kind of take us back to, what did you do? So you identified that there was a need, right? The next step was then to go ahead and kind of validate it through conversations. Like, how did you actually go about and confirm that that your beliefs were, like the hypothesis was actually going to play out, and then land your first client as a result of that?
I think it started on the search side. So we knew when clients were calling saying, hey, I need to hire somebody, they have a need. They needed an employee. But then really diving several layers deep into that, well, why? Why do you have this need? Is it growth? Is it turnover? Is it, people aren't getting things done and we're having a capacity issue? Where's the need really coming from? And just really getting curious and asking those questions, and then finding out, okay, well, the real root of the problem is we've got turnover and it's because of X, Y, Z, or we've got explosive growth and we're not sure how to manage it. This is what's really happening. So I think it was getting curious from the perspective of, hey, we need to hire people, and really finding the root of why we're hiring in the first place.
Right.
And then developing core services around that.
So then what did you actually do to get the first client? Because what you shared, from what I understood, is like the previous experience was really focused around accountants. But when you launched your consulting business, you were serving more of like the architects and construction, or that kind of area, right? That you call the ACE, right?
AEC industry. Yeah.
Yeah. How did you make that that shift? How did you go into the ACE industries without necessarily having a lot of experience in that area? Like what were the steps that you took to actually start landing the first few clients?
Sure. So our business model is really unique in that all of our business is referral business. So we don't make cold calls. We don't really chase leads. We do everything by way of introduction. And uniquely positioned because of my relationships in the CPA community, they're our best referral partners. So they're on the front lines with their clients. And we were very strategic about developing affiliate relationships with CPAs. So that's really where we started, was sitting across the table and saying, hey, I'm a free agent now. I'm no longer associated with one firm. I can work for all of these firms. How can we scratch each other's back, if you will, and create mutual value for each other? And they started helping me get in the door. And our first client was of the new firm when we first launched was actually a compensation study. So it was a little bit on the fringe because it wasn't, our core services, but it was a really good stretch project. And one of my core values within my organization is say yes. We always have the philosophy, yes, if, not no. So we said, okay, how can we say, yes, we can do this if, X, Y, and Z happens? And so we undertook it. And that was our first client project. And we did a full compensation study, which opened the door to some org chart work, and then some search work, and then referrals. And I'm not saying we don't, have a CRM system and an organized way to chase leads, but we do it all through affiliate and referral partnerships.
Yeah, no, I love that. So
unique.
Take us deeper into that, because I think there's a lot of value that people could kind of, get from just understanding more clearly exactly what you did. So let's just imagine you're back in the day, you're sitting, I guess about a year ago or so now, since you started your consulting company, right? A little bit maybe beyond that. You're sitting down with another CPA. You're saying, hey, I'm no longer working with one company. I can work with you. I can help a lot of your clients. What did that exchange look like? What were you offering them? How are you positioning it that you could bring value to them, and what were they looking for in return?
That's where we always start the conversation. I always start with, hey, how can I help you, and what are you looking for? Is it new clients for you? Is it an extension of service lines so that you guys can be the one-stop shop for your clients as the CPA? How can I fulfill a need that you have? And then back into, okay, well, here's what we can offer you. Sometimes we do pay our affiliates for sending us business. I think that there's a lot of value to be had in bringing the opportunity to the table. So we do have strategic alliances with a number of other firms and businesses where if they actually help us secure a client, we will compensate, and vice versa.
And when
typically
does that,
those folks...
no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
We typically have many mutual clients, and that's a great opportunity for them to tag us in, or vice versa. We have complementary services, and it's a great way to expand our reach and, kind of keep it in the family, if you will, with the client base that we support. And
when do you bring up the compensation part? Because this is a pretty common question that we hear from clients in our coaching program, and just consultants kind of in the community. Is it okay to to pay a referral fee? When do you ask for it? So what's maybe some of the best practices that you've just kind of identified or discovered and currently now use when it comes to talking about referral and compensation? Our affiliate agreements we set up front. I don't think I would ever go to somebody after I had already scratched their back and given them a client and then said, oh, by the way, surprise, you owe me for that.
I would say that expectation needs to be set up front. The way that we went about it in the beginning was, hey, we're sending business to Matt quite a bit, and Matt's making a lot of money off of us. We should probably approach Matt and say, hey, you know, what would you think about making this official? And that's really what we did. And once we had a couple of them in place, we had some momentum and then could approach other individuals and say, you know, it looks like you have a really complimentary service offering. What would you think about striking an agreement right out of the gate so that foundation is set and there isn't any awkwardness about trying to bill on the back end?
Yeah. I love how you position that, because it makes it just like you lower your guard when the expectations are very clear from the beginning, right? Rather than going into it and kind of wondering, like you're kind of taking the cat out of the bag. It's just very clear, like what both parties are thinking about. So that's really powerful. And then how did you get in front of CPAs, right? Busy people, they're working with their clients. How did you actually set the meetings to be able to have these conversations and set these strategic kind of partnerships and referrals with them?
Well, I kind of cheated because I do have a CPA license and came from that world. So a lot of them in my region were, I went to college with them. I saw them at other events. We kind of traded throughout firms over the years. So I kind of, knew people that knew people. But for outside of the region, a persistence, a lot of it was knowing other people and once again, leveraging the network of the people that I did know. I'm very big on starting with the hub of people that I do know and leveraging my influencers rather than, just bugging people. And sometimes it's just sheer persistence beats resistance in, hey, it's me again. It's probably easier to just take a half an hour meeting with me than to take out a restraining order. So, maybe let's go that route and just sit down and give me a half an hour of your time and then we'll forge a relationship. And sometimes not all first dates turn into a romance. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but getting out there and meeting a ton of people was my approach to build that network. And I'm still doing it every day. And
so when let's say, you go into LinkedIn or whatever your CRM and you're looking, okay, I know these people, I want to have a meeting with them. I don't know them that well. Like maybe we met at some event or some, whatever it was. What's the approach? Is it like, if you could just kind of share maybe a sample script that you use, that just, hey, it's Katie and we're both CPAs. I'd love to learn more about what you're doing, or is it something completely different? What's kind of a tried and true message or approach that you would use?
If I'm looking through mutual connections, that's the first place I'm going to start. Who are we both connected to? What do we have in common? Did we go to the same college? Have we touched base with the same client? I'm of course going to use a mutual connection as a door opener. If I don't have any, I'm looking for some other connection point, or I'm really just hoping for the best. I'm using my recruiter skills and tips and tricks to try to throw a line in the water and hope I catch a bite.
And for every 10 people that you reach out to, how many would you say that actually turns into a conversation?
Gosh, probably 4 or 5. I think we have a pretty good turn rate. As I mentioned before, we don't do a lot of mass targeting. It's all very sort of targeted outreach. And I try to be pretty careful about that, because if I reached out to 10 people and got 10 meetings, then I have a whole different problem with what to do with myself with time. And so balancing all of those things as far as challenges of being a small business.
Right. Well, I know with what you shared with me, kind of before we jumped on here in some communication beforehand, that the business is off to a really good start. Things have gone well. You're a little bit, I think, beyond a year now in terms of since starting the consulting business. And you already have, is it 4 people on the team, or how many team members currently are involved in the business?
We have 4, correct.
Okay. So I think a lot of people, right, when they're starting a consulting business, or even if they're a couple of years into it, they're really hesitating and trying to delay bringing on other people and building the team, right? Wanting to save and keep very lean and not manage people. But clearly you've taken a very different approach. So tell us, what was the mindset for you, or is the mindset for you around building the team and hiring?
Sure. Well, part of our business, our big piece of our business messaging is around human leverage, right? Hire people and get human leverage. So if we're going to walk the talk and do what we teach our clients to do, we pretty much have to take that approach.
Nice. Yeah.
For me, it's not less scary. I understand how terrifying it is. And that 1 hour of investment is so hard to give up from your day, but it does turn into hundreds and hundreds of hours of leverage once you have somebody ramped up in the chair. That's human leverage. It's amazing to come to work every day and have a team that executes on my vision, my goal, to be unified in one mission that we're helping so many businesses around the region, around the Western United States achieve their goals and mission. So why wouldn't you? But there is a headache and a lot of paperwork that comes with payroll and labor things, and it's definitely been a learning curve for me also.
What was the first role that you hired for?
Recruiter.
Okay. And why did you choose, to bring on a recruiter as opposed to, let's say, an assistant or someone that you could just kind of delegate some lower value tasks to?
So my approach in looking at how to add hires is the same advice that I would give a client, and that's to look at where's my highest and best use. And my highest and best use was not being a recruiter. It was going out and growing the business and bringing in new work, because that's what I love to do and that's what I'm good at. Yeah. That said, if my highest and best use was being a grinder, I probably would have hired a business development person to augment that, and I would have delivered the service instead. So I don't know that there's one roadmap. My advice to anyone who's at a critical mass and going, I'm having a capacity challenge, is to say, okay, do you want to keep having a capacity challenge or have a sales problem? Which either or, the pendulum is going to swing back and forth every day of the week as a small business owner. And where's your highest and best use? And put yourself there and hire to augment that, rather than trying to be a jack of all trades. So I did add an assistant, but not until we had hired a consultant. And the assistant was actually the fourth person that came on board and is fairly new on the team. Because my highest and best use is not administrative work, which we learned the hard way, I think, and decided that we needed to augment that. But also, I think revenue producing people is important too if you want to keep putting your foot on the gas. Yeah,
I think that's really, really good advice, Katie. So for the consultant listening right now who goes, I want to, maybe I already have a couple of people on the team or even a few people, I want to hire the next person, or I want to even hire the first person, but I've had some bad experiences in the past. I'm looking, I don't know necessarily how to find the right person. And then when I've maybe found some people, how do I evaluate them? What would be some best practices that you would offer? Like, just, you definitely should be thinking about this, or you need to do that, in terms of finding good quality people and then being able to evaluate them, that they're going to have the highest likelihood of success.
I love this question. This is my domain. It depends on what the role is, but if you're hiring for, say, an assistant or a junior consultant or somebody that's going to replicate you, hire for your strengths. I think one of the things that I see clients do so often that is a misfire is they hire for their weaknesses, with the thought process, well, I'm not very good at X, so I need somebody that's going to do that. Well, oftentimes that creates a rub, especially in a small business where you're looking to scale and grow and you really need somebody to replicate you and to be one voice. You need to hire for your strengths. And so my advice is, what are your strengths? I can tell you that I am very driven. I have a very high sense of urgency. Winning really matters to me. So interviewing my team, I asked questions like, what does winning mean to you? What does it mean to achieve? Tell me what your core values are, and really diving into what they are. And if they're work-life balance and vacation, maybe that's not the person for me, because I need somebody that says, winning at everything and working night and day to get the job done. Looking for core value alignment, it's so foundational, because your fourth hire is 25% of your business.
Talk a little bit more about like that part on making sure that the kind of the culture, the values, there's alignment around that. That makes a lot of sense to me. But if you could expand a little bit more on, you said, like a lot of people would hire based on filling in their areas they're weak in. And you said that you should be making sure that you're hiring also into your strengths. Talk a little bit more about, like, what do you mean about that?
So I will give you an example. So let's say you want to hire a business development person. Hey, I'm at critical mass. I'm a great doer, but I really need someone who can help me go out and get some new business. You're going to need somebody with a sales skill set. Skills and a cultural alignment are two different things, right? Skills are a culmination of past experience, and cultural alignment is, at my core, what are my values? Skills aside, you want people that have that cultural alignment with you, and whatever that looks like, because the last thing you want is a really, really good salesperson that's bringing in completely the wrong type of clients for your business. Definitely. Right? Sure. I mean, that's going to be a disaster, and you're going to have a bunch of clients on your hand that you don't want to do work for. So my advice is really to sit down and make a list on a piece of paper. If you're not at the point in your business where you actually have core values, go through that exercise and figure out what's really important. What's our ethos? Ours is, we do great work with great people. Super simple. If you're not great people, we don't want you as a client, right? That's our first criteria. But looking at what your values are and, matching that up with other people and really exploring that through a solid interview process. There are also amazing personality assessment tools. We use a couple of them within our firm and apply them with clients as well that can really help you kind of take a pulse on someone's natural tendencies and give some pretty quick insight on what's their sense of urgency, how attention to detail, how patient are they, what's their introversion, extroversion level, and that can really help as well.
That you said you use predictive index. Is that one of the ones you use?
We do. We love
Right.
predictive index, and we're certified in that as well. So everyone on my team has taken it. We have several clients that are using it.
And so the consultant's thinking, okay, I want to bring on someone. I've identified that, maybe I'm a doer and I need a business development person, or vice versa, right? I want someone who can implement, and I want to do more of the strategy, the vision, the business development side of growing the firm. But maybe they don't yet have in their minds the financial ability to go out and hire someone that has the level of skills that they want to bring on, right? They can't fork out an extra $150,000 or $200,000 plus or whatever to get kind of the superstar that they're after. What's your experience or your kind of recommendation around bringing on someone who maybe doesn't have the level of skills that they're looking for, or have you found more creative ways or better ways to position and approach someone who does have a higher skill set, but maybe you just don't have the financial ability yet to invest and hire them at where they're currently at?
Well, there's always getting creative with looking for someone that wants to be a part-timer. Women that are re-entering the workforce after having kids are a great underserved market where I think you can gain a lot. And frankly, I did that with one of my employees. She was on maternity leave when I found her. She came on board 3 days a week to start, ramped up to 4 days a week as her onboarding, and now she's gone full-time as the kids have gotten older, and that worked really well for us and enabled me to kind of spread out the financial burden as she was ramped up. Of course, that situation isn't going to be, I got really, really lucky, but it's out there if you're looking in the right places and you're positioning yourself in the marketplace the right way. Otherwise, I would say if you really want it, figure out a way to make it happen, even if it means, selling your car and getting a smaller car. Or yeah. I think you would probably reiterate the same advice, is that if you really want it, you pull out all the stops to make it happen. I'm not sitting here looking at you with a smile on my face saying, oh, I only work 20 hours a week and I haven't made any sacrifices. I've made a lot of sacrifices and I worked until 10 o'clock last night. Don't let me kid you. You got to take strategic risks and go for it in a calculated way.
Yeah, no, I think that's really good advice. What would you say then to the person who goes, okay, yeah, again, I want to bring someone on. Where do I find the right people? Like, is there a go-to? Have you found that you guys have, of course you're doing recruiting, but let's say someone doesn't want to go out and hire a recruiter necessarily. What are some of the alternatives? Are there certain job sites that are good? Like, should they be on Indeed.com? Should they be on posting on LinkedIn? Should they be tapping into their network? Should they be doing like all those things? Because when I talk with coaching clients that are really scaling up their business, I often share with them, like, you should always be building your bench of talent. And what I mean by that is building relationships. Even though you're not going to hire that person today or maybe next week or next month, the more people that that you could tap into later on, right? That's just going to make that process a lot easier and smoother when you do have an engagement that you want to put them into or kind of hire them. So what are some recommendations you would have around where people could go or what they should be thinking about if they want to start building that bench of talent now?
Absolutely. I think the first thing is to go through an exercise of what do you really want and create some abundant clarity around what that is. And maybe you need to hire one person and it could go 3 different ways. It could be a business development person, it could be a doer, it could be an admin, let's say. Create those 3 job descriptions and get them out to your immediate network so those people know, hey, you're looking, and they can start keeping an ear to the ground for you. And then they're going to kind of send you, hey, I ran across this person the other day and they said they might be interested. And then you can interview. If you find the right person, it can be a strategy shift. You might think you need business development and land in the best assistant, and now you're, hire that person and change your strategy. I think almost all of my employees came by way of me throwing a line in the water to my network and saying, I'm going to be hiring this person later on down the future. Who do you know? I'm always interviewing. I'm always having coffee meetings and interviewing from my own team also, just to make sure. If you're waiting until you know you have an opening, you're already 2 months behind, right? But if you're pipelining, which is what I'm hearing the advisors saying, you've already got people on deck that you're talking to and you're sort of working through your list all the time. So LinkedIn is another great place to go to run some searches on, what's in the market. You might think you need something, and then you might run a search in your local market and go, oh, there's only 2 of these people that have that skill set. well, I either need to call both of them or I need to retool what I'm really looking for because this isn't a viable strategy for my business.
Yeah. That's really good advice because a lot of people wouldn't even do that until, as you said, they need it, and then by that point it's too late. And not that it's too late, but it makes it a lot more difficult. It's like climbing an uphill, a big mountain as opposed to just continuing to to push along and with not so much incline. Another question I guess I have for you, Katie, because clearly you've been very successful in getting your business to where it is today. Many consultants, like in fact, actually, I just had the conversation earlier today with a coaching client who is newer to consulting, but they're right away looking to build their team. And a concern that they have is, they mentioned, is that because they've been speaking to the marketplace and to clients about them doing all the work, it's not yet a team, that clients would then have a concern when they start putting a team member onto projects. And this is quite common, right? This comes up a lot because as you start off as a consultant, you think it's all about you, you're doing all the work, and then you're worried they're going to lose the client, or the client's not going to be happy if you start putting someone else kind of into that role. What has been your experience, and just what are your thoughts kind of around that in terms of the best practice for the consultant being the founder, the consulting business owner, to be able to put other team members into projects so that they don't need to be the ones doing everything themselves?
First of all, I want to acknowledge the fear because it's absolutely real. We are our 10X when it's our company and our vision, and it's so scary. But going back to my advice about hiring for that core value alignment, if you get the right people in place that really reiterate your vision and have that same value set that you do, the fear is better. It doesn't go away, but it's definitely better. And then you have this new fear, oh no, what if my clients like them more than they like me, and then my employees quit, right? So there's always going to be something to be afraid of. Push it aside because you're going to let it hold you back, or you're going to just acknowledge the fear and press on. We've been really lucky in that we've taken an integrated approach. My approach to onboarding is that for the first 30 days, my team is not expected to do any work, which seems really crazy. But that's the investment that I wanted to make, and I want you to understand our business. I want you to really get your feet under you with no expectation of production, and I'm just going to watch you learn, and you're eventually going to start taking things on. And both times that we've done this, within the first or second week, we have a producing employee that's coming up with ideas and saying, well, here's ways I can add value, but it really alleviates the pressure. And then start bringing them out to clients, making that introduction, partnering with them. Getting that human leverage is a time-consuming process, but now I have employees on site with clients where I'm not on site anymore, and they're just updating me on what's going on. We do still have a process that I always want to know what's happening, because if the client calls me, I better be able to answer a question or have a mechanism to turn around and answer real quick on what's going on. And some of it's just kind of relinquishing control, which is terrifying. This idea that, hey, no one else is going to be able to do it like I am. That's just a fact. And it doesn't mean that it's not going to be better than the way I'm going to do it. It's just not going to be exactly the same, and that's okay. But we also have a process handbook. We have defined core values. We have processes for getting together on a regular basis and sharing information because my team is fairly remote out on site at clients. So there's mechanisms in place so that I don't feel like I have rogue people running around and I don't know what's happening.
So just take us back to maybe to the first time or the first few situations where you had a client you were working with, especially an existing client, and then you wanted to introduce a new team member into that project with the idea of that new team member actually taking over your direct involvement with that client and kind of in that project. What did you do? What did you learn? How did you position it successfully so the client accepted that without too much kind of objections?
I'm thinking of a specific example, and I actually really involved the client in the whole process. So I told the client, I'm going to be extending an offer to somebody. I'm really excited. I hope that we land her. I hope she accepts the offer letter. And then the next time I spoke with the client, they were kind of invested, and they said, well, did she accept? And is she coming on board? And I said, she did, and she is. And if it works for you, I want to introduce you to her. And next time I'm out here next week, I'm going to bring her along. And they said, yeah, absolutely. So they were kind of invested into the success of my win right out of the gate. It wasn't like I did it in a silo and then said, surprise. I kind of made them a part of the process, which was really kind of fun. And then we started transitioning, the relationship meetings. I stayed involved for a while until that employee built trust. And now I think she's off to the races and has better relationships probably than I do with that client and knows more about the client than I do, which is great.
Yeah, no, that's a really good example. I mean, I think that involving the client, just setting those expectations, making it part of it from the beginning, is so. I mean, it's a great way to do it, because it's like if you're rolling out a new service, right? Rather than just rolling out a new service that you think about in your own mind, trying to get your clients involved in that and making them part of it often leads to a more kind of successful adoption of it as well.
Right. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, and it's unique with us being in hiring also, because we're hiring for our clients and we're hiring for ourselves. So I think we want each other to be successful. I mean, I look at our goal as a consultant for our clients is to help them get further up the mountain, and we're their Sherpa in a number of ways to make that happen. That's what I'm doing as the CEO of my company also. So my clients are my partners in that, and I want them to feel good about, the people that are on their team. So that buy-in is really crucial.
Awesome. Well, Katie, I want to thank you for coming on here and just sharing, some of your journey and wisdom and best practices that you've kind of collected along the way here. Where should people go to learn just more about you and your company?
Sure. You can visit us on the web at hire, educationconsulting.com. So HIRE educationconsulting.com. Links to videos, all of our social media stuff is there. We have some fun giveaways and some resources you can download on the web also related to interview guides and hiring and things like that.
Fantastic. All right. So we'll make sure to have all that linked up in the show notes, and just go to consultingsuccess.com, type in Katie. You'll likely find it. If not, you can type in Kaite McConnel Olson, but it'll be there, and we'll have everything linked up and the resources available there as well. So good stuff, Katie. Thank you so much again for coming on.
Awesome. Thank you.